I'm Bambi Francisco with Vader TV, the network for innovators. Well, the promise of mobile advertising is that it can be far more targeted than ads on a PC, and that's largely because each cell phone is unique to an individual. Well, joining me to talk about the business of mobile advertising is Harold Neidhardt. He's the CMO and co-founder of Smaato. Harold, thanks for joining me again. Well, your company is in the business of creating relevant ads for mobile phones, and clearly, as we talked in the last interview, there's a lot of money going into mobile advertising, $2.7 billion, or surpassing $2.7 billion this year. But the big question still is, is that money actually work? Are advertisers really getting something for the money being spent? And the big question is, how are customers or consumers responding to these ads? So what types of mobile ads are consumers accepting these days on mobile phones?
Well, first of all, I think if you're asking consumer, and that is like a question which is sometimes asked in the polls, like, would you like mobile advertising? I think all of the people, or there's like 70% say, no, I don't like it, because most of the people still recognize SMS or texting advertising as something which they think they will get, or too much spam or so.
Well, I don't know, if I was walking to a Starbucks and I got this ring in from Starbucks and said, oh, here's a coupon for $1 off of a latte, I'd probably like that.
Exactly. It seems like that is the picture for mobile advertising in another way. It's say, hey, people beam you out of the shop and say, we want to have a coupon or not. So you see there's all these different types. What we are mostly focusing on is neither SMS nor what's probably called proximity marketing or Bluetooth marketing with the stores. But we look on display advertising or text advertising, which goes either within applications, widgets, or mobile web, or in games, if you will. And so what we see is there's sort of a renaissance, if you will, of mobile applications. Probably with the advent of the iPhone, there's a lot of creativity coming in, Android, different kind of operating systems. But for the consumer, I think for them it gives them choice. They can download an application and say, I have now a diet plan or a financial planner or a news reader or weather or something which is specific to me. And because I download it and either pay less or it's a free application, I will also accept advertising in there. And I think the chance here specifically with applications is that you can target within that context. So there's somebody who has downloaded a weather application, so he or she might be more interested in something against cold, maybe, or something like that. So I think there is a lot of new ways how we can target or bring relevant advertising to the consumer.
So you're looking at branded advertising. You think that branding advertising actually works on mobile phones? Because on the web, branded advertising actually took some time to work online. Why do you think that branded advertising is going to work, or is going to be the one driving mobile ads in the near term?
I think we see there's two different trends. One is the brand advertising, as we were referring to, and I think that it gives consumers a level of trust. So they know, this is a specific car maker who's talking to me and says, here's a test drive for weekend, start Thursday, bring it back Tuesday. That would be great, right?
Okay.
So and if that comes from Chrysler or Mini or Mercedes-Benz, that would make it very trustworthy, which I think is needed in the beginning, that you have brands you can trust. On the other hand, you have obviously a lot of advertising which is specific to new mobile brands, if you will. And they are either selling ringtones or they have some enhancements for your phone, like Bluetooth receivers or something like that. And that is very relevant to me and to my product. And so both of these ads will, I think, build the new generation, if you will, of mobile advertising.
Who are the advertisers that are embracing mobile advertising?
We see a plethora of different brands. I mean, they come from, for example, Office Depot or car makers, or they from banks. Bank of America is a very big advertiser in the U.S., but also throughout the world. In Europe, we see there's advertising also from credit cards. There's big brands like car makers, BMW, and in Southeast Asia you see a lot of more local ringtone or Bollywood movie trailer advertising, something like that. So it's a very broad spectrum.
And what are I guess there's no standard right now for advertising there are no standard banners or skyscrapers, but I mean, or is there, or what's developing?
Yes. We are very active in the MMA, for example, Mobile Marketing Association, which has started out of the US and now has regional chapters throughout the world in Asia and Latin America, Europe, of course. And we are in the committee for display advertising and building some of the standards and practices and guidelines and so on. It's a very complicated process, if you will, but it's very much in order. So there's already standards for the sizes for display advertising, and this goes now into MMS and into in-application or downloadables, as it was called. Building that industry let's say standard is very important, but it already started. So a lot of people work with that, especially ad sales networks, which are starting.
That's got to be one of the biggest challenges, because I'm just looking at your two phones there. You've got different formats, different sizes already.
Exactly, and
because of the different formats.
Yes, there's typically 5 different sizes for display advertising according to the phone. And the main job is to find the right size and pick it and just send it out.
What are the CPMs on mobile advertising?
Well, you can see anything from $5 to $38 still, which is very high. There's in some industries, and it's very well targeted, it could be even higher. But the more targeted it is, the less, the smaller the group is. So most people go with the middle. Since we are acting global, we're seeing totally different prices as well. In Germany, you have carriers who ask something like 60 euro CPM or even 80. So that would almost be $100. In India or Southeast Asia, that you see $1 or $2 CPM. And in the UK, it might be like £5 as a general term.
And in the US, it's?
In the US, it's between 5 and 30, but the average is sometimes between 5 and 15, I would say. Which we see right now from CPM standpoint. And
in terms of the type of content that best conveys an advertiser's message, is it in, how do you deliver those ads? Where's the best place to deliver those ads? I can imagine, I guess it's in game applications like Tapulous. Yeah, that's a good example. Obviously, a game can be a very good, let's say, publisher for advertising, but game wrapping, for example, as it done now, has, let's say, it's very easy. You can put an ad before and after the game, but then you're not in the game. You don't see any advertising. It's almost like pre-roll and post-roll. Exactly, pre-roll and post-roll, which is let's say, what the advantage is, it's very easy to do. The disadvantage is you have only 2 page impressions, and you spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes with the game. But all that time is really not there. One of our USPs, for example, is that we can put advertising within the game, because our SDK allows the developer to put in the game or any application, put the ads throughout this whole time period, throughout the 10 minutes, and you might create 10 or 20 or 30 page impressions. And one other specific USP is that we can cache the ads. So, for example, if you play a game on the airplane between here and New York on your next flight, you might create the 30 page impressions, but since you're not connected, this money could be lost, right? So we capture that. Okay. That's our specialty. What percentage of games are played offline as opposed to online on a mobile device? I think in general, most of the games are disconnected. You don't need to be online to play a game. You need to be online to download a game and maybe download an update or maybe upload a score, if you will. But most of the game activity is really offline with you and yourself. Okay. Just the last few questions in terms of impediments to getting this to getting everyone to embrace mobile advertising. Someone from Gartner had said that minimizing the number of keystrokes required to access information and relevant ads, or even the lack of transparency in capturing metrics or just activity on the phone. So what would you say are the top 3 biggest impediments to accelerating mobile advertising? Right. Well, I think one of the things we really have to work on is creativity. Creativity is an innovation, if you will, on the agency side. In most cases, you would think agencies, they're so creative, but in some ways it shows that agencies are not necessarily innovators. So, and it's a very tiny space, and it's the same like
we started 10 years ago with online and said, hey, we went to the TV guys and said, let's do online, give me $10,000 and let's start something. And they were sitting on $10 million for Coke and say, what, 10 million? That doesn't really move my needle. I stay with TV. Now it's the same thing. The online guys are big, and they are sitting on $10 million for Coke, and you say, hey, can I get 10,000 for mobile? And I say, that doesn't move my needle, and I don't, right? So I think it's a very fluctuant process right now. Obviously, operators and everybody in the industry embraces it, so there's a lot of initiatives going forward. Agencies, in my way, have to create something compelling so that it's really a cool brand, but also a cool message that you can, I want to click on that, that's great.
Right. Is that the biggest measurement? I mean, how do you measure the effectiveness of an ad?
Well, obviously you have the click-through rate. And,
so it has to be click-through.
Click-through, or obviously there's also CPM, right? So just in the beginning, just to put this out there, and it's a mixed model.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing your views on the mobile advertising market. Harold, thank you again. And we were going to be doing another interview on lessons learned, so we'll stick around for that interview. I've been speaking with Harold Neidhardt. He is the CMO and co-founder of Smaato. I'm Bambi Francisco.